This is not a scripted discussion in any way, far from it. And I think you guys all probably know each of these gentlemen a little bit over the last couple of days, but maybe just for the sake of completeness, each of you introduce yourself. 60-second. Who are you?
Andrew, Krista, Dave, and these are the authors of the instruction set manual, right?
That's all we need. There we are. With that, it's over to you guys. Open the floor to questions. And if you're not careful, they'll start asking you questions. So it's usually how this goes.
I have a question about the instruction for Andrew. The spring local, in Linux spring local implementation. Okay, you know that?
Let's say yes for the sake of argument.
Yeah. For example, the ARM, they have two instructors, RISC-V and WFE. Yeah, it will cut down the power efficient spring local. Then you secure into
Right. So, incidentally, the RISC-V port of the Linux kernel uses an unusual mechanism to save energy while idle. It takes the kernel port was originally written for the Rocket microarchitecture, and this vestige still lives on the current kernel port. We're probably going to get rid of it before upstreaming it. But right now, it deliberately executes a division by zero operation because that introduces a very long latency stall in the Rocket microarchitecture, which, based upon measuring silicon, saves something like 60% of the processor power. So while we do not endorse this as a standard pattern for saving energy in RISC-V processors, it is nevertheless kind of cute. So I think we will probably, one thing that we discussed is reserving a standard no-op pattern for a hint space. Like, for example, certain pinch instruction encodings could be used, or the various ALU instructions with a zero destination register might be usable to encode certain things that architecturally don't change the state of the system, but might provide hints to the microarchitecture for performance events. Like, for example, I'm not going to be using this processor for a little while, so save some energy, or pre-fetch this cache line or something like that. So that's something that the future version of the spec will define, and these will be forward compatible in that if they don't have any architecturally visible effects, they'll just execute as no ops on old implementations. But that is TBD.
There is the WFI, great for enough. We define that deliberately so you can do a WFI even when interrupts are globally disabled, and that gives you this option of saving the state and not taking the track, but instead of just wake up where you were at that instruction, and then you can check to see why I woke up, which may be for no reason, and you go back and wait again. So WFI, I think I'm not completely sure, you have to go beyond WFI. Kind of assumes you can go take a real interrupt, and that's why they added WFE, wait for event. I think the RISC-V WFI, I think, covers some of the use cases of WFE as well. But the thing Andrew was talking about was kind of a relaxed instruction hint. Like, WFI itself is also defined as a hint, an implementation, just make it a no-op. You wouldn't want to do that if you really wanted to save power, but that would be a compliant implementation. The same with the relaxed instruction. It will be something that tells the microarchitecture, go do nothing for a while, go through an SMT thing, this thread should not issue for a while. We were thinking about encoding that as a variant offense with one of the predecessor success sets being 0, and the other one being the event you're waiting on. So yeah, we've been thinking about exactly these kinds of operations. Notice both these cases, these are things that could be no ops in a compliant implementation, so they would actually be backwards compatible with existing tools.
So you means you want to implement the WFI or WFE or SEV solution to implement the spring local style in the future?
Yeah, the relaxed instruction would be what you would use during the spin lock.
The current implementation is okay for the RISC-V.
understand. So they can
And the current SP lock implementation is right for the RISC-V.
It's a reasonable thing to do for Rocket. So whether it's reasonable for all RISC-V implementations, that's
Linux implementation.
well, no, what kind of RISC-V implementation do you have? So Linux currently does this because that's convenient for Rocket. We're not saying this is a great idea, it's just that's how we did it for Linux right now. Yeah.
My name is Shubha Kamsak from SH Consulting. My question is on the C extension. The general scheme is you just allocate 75% of electrical space for 16-bit format and then 35 for the rest. And then how did you come up? I believe that it's a good scheme, but how did you come to that particular design choice?
Well, we evaluated a few alternatives, and that seemed like the best one. The observation came from the fact that you don't need especially wide immediates for most instructions, and so we were able to. It was easy to squeeze all of the base ISA into a 30-bit encoding space without having a meaningful impact on the performance of the base ISA. So that naturally left over 3/4 of the remaining encoding space for the C extension.
Yeah, I think it was more like 1 bit didn't seem quite enough, and 3 seemed excessive. It's kind of like martinis, right? The old saying about. Who was that? I forget the famous lady who coined the saying about. Like, yeah, one's not enough, two's in the have 3, I'm under the host. I forget the quote.
Hey, so there's a lot of people this week that probably hadn't heard much about RISC-V before and are now probably really excited about getting involved. So what are some good things for people who are new to do?
We need verification suites. I mean, that's the idea of an open source foundation is that lots of people could build things, and then you want to make sure you're an official one. I thought people would volunteer for that. That's one that lots of people could do. Lots of people could do. It doesn't take extraordinary expertise, and we need one right now. There's nobody on the committee. Is that right?
So right now, there's a lot of people who want to kind of put in effort into it. I think we're missing a chair and a vice chair for the task group. But I think if you're excited about RISC-V, I think you should go and look around what RISC-V is about and start using it. I think if you're excited about it, then you should go learn about it, read about it, go implement it, and go learn.
I think the question is about people new to RISC-V. You probably shouldn't write the verification suite.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're new to RISC-V, I think.
I don't know. It's a good way to learn.
So I think, but if you're learning RISC-V, you're going to be hitting all these. You're going to say, if only there was better documentation. Like, how do I find out? So my advice would be, if you're going to learn about RISC-V, while you're going and learning about it, start writing down notes about what you found out and sharing those notes to help other people learn about RISC-V. So they crowdsource it. Like one thing we found very valuable was the way that from Loris in Cambridge, in learning rocket ship, he wrote down great documentation on rocket ship. As it from an outsider's perspective, I think people learning about RISC-V, especially here in China, writing Chinese language versions of documentation, is fantastic help to helping other people learn about RISC-V.
But also, the reason why you're learning RISC-V is because probably you want to use it in your specific area. So, I mean, I would look around what type of resources and what type of projects are available. So, for example, if you're really into compilers and things like that, then maybe go try to work something related to RISC-V, like LVM compilers, BCC compilers, see how the code is being generated, see if you can write any optimizers for RISC-V and things like that. If you're a circuit researcher, then think about what type of things you can do with RISC-V processors and things like that. I think there would be something that you could apply to your expertise.
another more specific thought is you could, for example, download the Sci-Fi Freedom U500 board and plug in PCIe devices and bring up device drivers, port them to RISC-V to various cards and boards. That'd be interesting. That would get you into the kernel and be useful to the community.
What was the biggest fight you guys had in regards to the spec and who won?
It was not about registered windows.
I would say Krista always won. I think it was well. I think I remember arguing for keeping the 1-1 mapping for compressed latency. I remember that, but that was kind of the only contention point I remember. But you two must have had disagreements.
Yeah, just right now. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think we usually mostly agree, so it's more like refinement. So
Well, I think the how about a humorous anecdote? Krista, for fun, would do opcoding coding. He would do opcoding coding. So it's like Sudoku for Krista. Is he would stare at the opcoding coding, and how could I say the gate? And he spent a lot of time on that opcoding coding. That's more than any human being I've ever seen. To me, I do opcoding coding. Here's the alphabetical list of instructions. Start at 0. I'm done. Right? He spent a lot of time.
That reminds me of, the immediate encoding the RISC-V instruction set. At a first glance, you look at it and you're like, what are these guys thinking about? And that was after Krista going home on a weekend saying, I'm gonna switch things around. And then I think at that point, Andrew was like,
That was 3 martinis.
hey, Krista, stop optimizing for the FEM2 tools. I think Andrew said something like that. And Krista's response was, for the guys who are really building the small implementations will really appreciate it. And Jan Gray, who built the 200 RISC-V FPGA for 1600, came to Krista and was like, thank you for your immediate encoding. And Krista's like, told you. So, if the immediate encoding was the thing that we thought about, then I guess there wasn't really lots of contention.
So there's been a lot of comparison between RISC-V and ARM in particular, and I'm curious whether you all think that's just because that's an easier way to get started, or you kind of see RISC-V as being kind of targeted to that domain, or that niche, versus kind of just as a general purpose slicer for any domain, or just you don't really know, or just evolve over time somehow. Just do you have any thoughts on that in general?
ARM's I think, how about this? How many people here think the best first target for RISC-V is the Internet of Things? I'm the little. So I think if it's Internet of Things, I think ARM would be. I know ARM. That's what ARM wants to be the standard processor Internet of Things is ARM. Right? So I think the low end is the natural first point for RISC-V, and so I think that's who you compare to. At the high end, the x86, I mean, there's no instruction set comparison. It's more you're comparing against Intel as a corporation versus the instruction set comparison. Anybody has a better instruction set than Intel, but Intel is a corporation.
it comes from ARM is dominant, so almost there are other apologies to the other software, other ISA providers, but really ARM is the king of the hill there. And Intel doesn't, not until recently, can have any kind of software activity. But really, people are looking at it as that's the only risk left standing. But that's very dominant. Everybody's mind share of ARM is so huge. So that's why he gets compared against ARM. I guess it's the obvious thing. And we definitely didn't use ARM as an inspiration. That's kind of clear. Yeah.
Some people say.
No, I don't think anybody says that. Well, I think they think the model, we're copying the model, that's sort of software, but that really predates ARM as well. They really made a business out of it. But technically, I think it's just the other dominant risk.
So that means like the decoder is very simple, right? Consume very little gates.
I don't have a gate cap for you for Rocket's decoder, but it is very small.
Okay. Also, another thing is like I ever think about can there still be adding an instruction combining a so the branch instruction compare two register, right? They determine the conditions meets or not. But usually then like can this comparison be combined with say instruction which is updating the last register? Because like you are maybe comparing R1 and R2, but maybe there's instruction in front with adding a constant to immediate value to the R2. So the question I'm asking is like I see a lot of advantage if you can make the branch decision with D type instead of the E type.
Right, so I think there's lots of opportunities to fuse adjacent instruction pairs in RISC-V. So yeah, one approach other instruction sets have taken here is to add more and more instructions to cover more of these cases. I don't think branches are such a case in x86, but you see things like, load from the address, like AX plus DX times 4 plus 8 or something like that, which in RISC-V is a handful of instructions, but which all conveniently map to RBC instructions, and an optimized instruction decoder could pattern match these and turn them into a smaller number of micro operations within the pipeline.
I think that was one of the philosophies that went into defining RISC-V, is to make sure we don't kind of merge too much of architecture and market architecture together. And I think, for example, branch delay slot is definitely one result of that discussion, which RISC-V doesn't have. So we try to make sure we kind of orthogonalize those two things so that people, depending on what type of market architecture they want to build, they can do certain optimizations, but that won't creep into the architecture ISA level, so that those kind of effects kind of last very long as it's visible to the software. So we try to make sure we kind of didn't make those type of mistakes.
Xavier from Mediatek. I would like to ask any target application for vector and field multiplication extension.
What was the last part of the question?
The target application for the two extension.
I see. Yeah, so it's amusing that you chose to ask that question when Kirsten was talking about it. Since he's the author of the VSpec and built the first vector bracket processor. But I think that there's a tremendous number of applications for the V extension. Data parallelism is abundant, and all sorts of scientific computing, machine learning applications, training inferences, databases. It's all over the place. And I think that lots of general purpose code where you might not even expect it will benefit at least incrementally from vectorization. So that's one of the reasons that we're trying to define the V extension so that it forms a good compiler target for auto vectorization. So all sorts of code can benefit from it. I'm sure Yonsef has lots more to say about the matter.
Memcut. String compare.
Okay, thanks. So these 2 days I heard tons of good words about the RISC-V. It is smaller, it's faster, and most important, it's free. So I'm wondering, if there are any bad words about RISC-V, if there are any disadvantage about RISC-V from your perspective?
Yes, what are the so those are the advantages of
Right. So at the moment, I think the single biggest impediment to adopting RISC-V is that it doesn't have nearly as robust a software ecosystem as the competitive offerings from commercial vendors. And the good news is that over time, that will get better. It's amazing to have seen the progress made on the system software ecosystem, even in the last 6 months or so. But I think to me that's the biggest single disadvantage at this moment. What do you think, Dave?
Well, there's the all the environment. I mean, ARM has whatever 15 years of stuff built for it, with companies building IP around the ARM ecosystem. So will those companies find the RISC-V ecosystem attractive and important, whatever they developed for this one? But yeah, it's this was like, if you go back in time, Linux had all these same issues compared to Windows, right? It's all missing device drivers, huge amount of stuff that wasn't there. And what the community did was start building enough until it reached kind of a tipping point where then companies would put full-time employees on it and then it accelerated ahead. And I don't think anybody would say today that Linux doesn't have a mature software ecosystem as Windows. But there was a time that was true, but the community felt that it was attractive enough to put the time to have it catch up. And so that's the opportunity for RISC-V, right? It's got all this potential. Will people volunteer their time to supply the pieces that are missing, like talk about device drivers? Again, will we do that? If we do that, then RISC-V could be catch up with competition.
I was going to answer your question by short history, and I think it's pretty much the same points that if there are more chips shipped with RISC-V, I think a lot of people would feel more comfortable selecting RISC-V as their microprocessor. I think for some people right now, I guess they feel like it's a leap of faith of using RISC-V, but I think as we see more RISC-V devices in the field, I think less and less people would be worried about that. So we really kind of need your support on believing in RISC-V, building a community together in RISC-V to make it stronger and better.
Hi, Sean from NVIDIA. So my question is about the patents. I think lots of commercial companies who are taking RISC-V seriously care about patents issues. I think people explain clearly on this on the ISA. But when regarding to the security or other memory model sectors that are under development, maybe there are a lot of patents done by Intel or ARM. So what's the message to similar companies who have such kind of concern? Do we have some legal groups can deal with these issues?
Yeah, there's also the patents is something that comes up a lot. So I think one thing is even if you have you buy a core from one of the big companies, it doesn't stop somebody else from suing you. So none of the companies can claim they have all the patents for their technology because anybody can sue you from it. I think it was, so what we would like to do at the foundation actually is gather together the implementations, what is well known public domain, i.e. either published early or expired patents, and use that to build a database. So these are all the things that we believe are all prior art, and here's the evidence of their prior art. Now some of the newer technologies.
You're talking about members of the community volunteering to do this, right? So that Krista's vision
requires volunteers, right? It's not the foundation doesn't have money to do things. Or the foundation has money to organize things, but people have to volunteer to do it. I don't know any other way that information is collected.
Yeah, so I think there's some areas like security and other places. There are newer patents. A lot of stuff has happened recently. It's unlikely to be as much stuff that's public domain. Well, there was a lot of security work done in the 50s and 60s that people should go look at. That's just been forgotten and probably repatented. So it'd be good to recover that. One mechanism I think would be very interesting to look at. I've been thinking about for undergraduate and master students. You're often looking for projects for them to do in a class. And I think what would be very interesting is to give them all papers from that era and tell them to implement those ideas. And partly so they can reevaluate those ideas. Was it actually a good idea? Now, I've been thinking it'd be great to run a workshop or a conference on non-novel architectures. Like old and boring architectures. How good can you do with ideas that are actually public domain and document them? And an interesting thing is in court cases, one of the rules of is it patentable? Was this actually just obvious to somebody skilled in the art? And if it was obvious to an undergraduate, then it was probably obvious that somebody skilled in the art. It would be a very strong defense in court if you had an undergraduate say, yeah, I did this based on this paper. So I think in terms of building up this database of knowledge, or something like this, I think it also be a great source of these projects, because you're often looking for what ideas can I give my students to go try out. So that would be my suggestion how to build up this defense. And this is all raising the barrier to potential patent lawsuits that shouldn't be started. Now there is an issue about patents more easily have been granted, and it's a great new idea. And so in that case, it's no different than any other instructions. You have to talk to the people on the technology to license it.
I think for people, if you like this, we talked about the freedom chips or free chips. Okay, for that to happen, this is going to be an issue. So, yeah, because hardware hasn't done much of this. So, if the hardware community, which there's even more hardware patents than software patents, I would think. So, the community is going to have to do something to prevent patent trolls, as we call them, from stopping progress. And so we can't just ignore it and not do anything. So a model would be to consciously use ideas in open cores there's papers that we can read that we know the date, but you would have to artificially constrain your design to be outside of the patent window. But that may be a requirement to be successful. That may be our only choice. But if we don't do anything, I think the chances of some core having something that's patented is high, I think.
When we say all the things you realize we're in 2017 now. So you go back 20 years, it's 1997. And there's already very sophisticated out-of-order superscalar processors, in the marketplace. So basically those microarchitectures are now public domain.
Getting back to the end of the original question, that includes out-of-order superscalar processors with relaxed memory models and aggressive implementations of them.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that there hasn't been that much innovation.
I think there hasn't been that much microarchitecture innovation in the last 20 years. I mean, a lot of the ideas that drive designs today were in papers 20 years ago. Right? There's probably a few things, but
Yeah, well, then boring.
yeah, but if it was, if patents had lasted like 30 years ago, there'd be a lot of stuff that would be an obstacle. But 20 years ago, I think all the ideas are pretty much out there. So it'd be kind of a weird thing to do, but I don't think it would be much of an impact on the quality of the cores that got built.
I'm going to add to that. It's part of the discussion that we had when we were putting the membership agreements in place and the contribution language that's in the membership agreement. It took quite a while, I think, as those of us who were involved in it, it took quite a while to get language that all of the companies could agree on, or all of the companies were at least okay with. And I think is probably a better term. And fundamentally, what it comes down to, because as Chris has said, there's nothing that you can do of anything that will prevent somebody else from just deciding to sue you if they believe that your technology encroaches at patents. But fundamentally, what it came down to as we were arriving at this common language was more of a buy-in into the ideology of something that is open versus something that is proprietary. And how do we capture that from a contribution language standpoint in a membership agreement? Now, that's only useful if we get everybody to sign a membership agreement. And we're working on it.
That given the existence of patent trolls will not join this Foundation. So the real patents are one threat, and then there's patent trolls, which is what do we do about that?
One of the things, so if you talk to somebody and they want to be disparaging, they'll say, oh, RISC-V, it's just a bunch of volunteers sort of implying it's sort of, there's a few branch units somewhere sort of supporting it. But then if you point out Linux, a bunch of volunteers, well, those volunteers, some of them are teams of people at IBM or Oracle or somewhere working on it. And if RISC-V is going to be successful other than as kind of the basis for a lot of stuff in academia and how you teach computer architecture, then And if you see some of that, like NVIDIA has been presenting, in the past, people like Google have been around, but nobody quite knows what they're going to be doing. Do you guys have a feel for how much is going on in industry as opposed to academia? It seems to me that academia RISC-V is one, right? I mean, there isn't really any alternative to teaching computer architecture. You know, David John's book's going to be all RISC-V going forward, and so, okay, all the people that come out of school, and maybe in the long, if you have play a very long game, if you train all the students on RISC-V, then eventually they become the decision makers 10 years later in all of these companies. But in the meantime, I think that I'd be interested to know what you feel how much is going on in the industry.
Well, I'd actually say that when we started the push out, we did it with the hot chips. We didn't do it in an academic conference. I think actually in the beginning, there was a lot more interest from that industrial side than the academic side. The academics had to be convinced. This, you know, they didn't really care about our papers if we write about RISC-V. So there was a lot more industry pull than academic pull at the beginning. And now the academics are jumping on the bandwagon, but we actually spent a lot more time. I've sort of been out of the academic conference circuits, and we're spending all this time with companies in the last. And that's switched around. I'd say that the perception's not right. It's actually the industry side pulled it first, and then academics followed.
But you know, companies don't say what they're doing until they've done it. But it's hard for me to imagine that 60 companies joined this organization out of interest. Yeah. You know, they just thought, I think we'll keep an eye on this, right? That's hard to believe. You know, it's maybe the money isn't that much for companies, but an engineer and people, the time of their employees is valuable. So,
even the money, it's not that the money's a lot, but even a big company, you try getting a PO signed off.
I agree with that, but certainly, I mean, between what Rick said at the intro, he said, I guess if there's not big announcements made in the next 2 years, which would be enough time, I think enough time, people guide internal projects, if nothing shows up in 2 years, then well, that's going to be a bad sign. But there's this chance that there's going to be this cornucopia of RISC-V designs coming out over the next few years, and so in 2019, it may look obvious. I knew all along RISC-V was going to make it, right? But right now, there's just a handful.
It is actually kind of interesting just on the adoption front, right? I mean, where we are now is there's a handful of companies that have product in the market today to support RISC-V, either tools or devices and what have you. And today's point, companies really only tell everybody what they're doing after they've done it and they're ready to go to market, which I'm going to look for. But from my involvement in different standards bodies, the uptake and interest in participating, people don't just show up and sign the agreement because they're curious. Some organizations used to have a strategy like that around standards bodies in the past, but if you don't like this standard, there's another one that come along. Right? There are so many standards bodies that to get engaged in who really chose to behave that way. That doesn't happen anymore. The organizations, I think, are very tight with their people in terms of what they're doing, what they're working on, and the mind share that they're focused on. Not the least of signing off on whatever 10 KPO or 25 KPO, what that means to getting it done. So the adoption, I think, is pretty interesting that we're seeing right now. That won't show up probably for 12 to 24 months. But.
So, Paul, my prediction is that the big use of RISC-V, maybe it will come out of the companies where people have a problem signing 10K, 20K POs. But my prediction is it will be, it will come out from a company you never heard of, and they would come out with a big hit. And the reason why they could have done that was probably because it was RISC-V, that, the existing IP companies would, maybe not willing to do business with those.
Those small.
Yeah, it's going to be a small companies. There's going to be lots of innovation in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, David gave a great talk on one day about doing specific architectures, and I think it's going to be coming from those type of companies where a small set of teams can go build something great. And I think That's kind of my prediction.
Hello, my name is Thomas from Huawei Technologies. I just have one question on the administration side. The question is that how a working group making a technical decision, especially when we have the confliction. For example, in mine, I mentioned that the memory group has a bunch of debating and waiting for design. So do we have a voting rule, or which kind of way we go?
Yes. So first of all, the task group will have lots of discussions around the topic, make sure each side or multiple sides make their points very clear. They would try to resolve it, and if it cannot get resolved, then the member companies who have actively been participating in the task group will have to vote. And then the task group will make a decision, which will eventually go up to the board, which makes a decision. No, the technical committee does a vote first, and then it needs to makes a proposal to the board, and the board,
Yeah, actually, the bylaw language is a little more specific than that. It's a recommendation for adoption, and what the board's job is to make sure that the governance rules that we've established, the voting eligibility and participation and all that stuff have been followed. Right? Obviously, there's lots of expertise on the board as well, and they can be participating in that task group to contribute, and that's fine. But just in terms of the governance rules that we've established, the board's responsibility is to make sure that we follow our very own rules that we publish for how we do this in an open and democratic way and in an inclusive way, such that no single individual or organization drives a specific mandate, and that the voting procedure can follow.
So the important part is actively participating members. So if you want to make have some influence in the decision that the task group makes, make sure you participate in task group activities.
Another piece of the process we put in, all of the proposals the task groups make have to go through it. They can choose to do more than this, but at minimum they have to have at least 45 days out in the public. Anybody, like the whole world, can look at this back and contribute comments back. And in preparing that to go to the board, the task group is supposed to address the comments in the public comments. So if somebody outside says, yeah, this memory model is really bad, you guys don't do this, X, Y, Z reasons why, then the group can choose to ignore that comment, but they have to say why. And then at the board level, it's kind of like,
They can't quite ignore it, they have to respond.
they have to respond. I mean, they should, but they have to give a rationale for why.
You can disagree, but they have the right thing.
Right, you have to say why. So then the board is sort of seeing this informed, like what, and also the same thing when there's a vote taken, why the other side's position was this, and why did that? Then we really vote to go ahead. So the idea is to pretty carefully get through all the pros and cons of the decisions.
Hello, I'm Jixin from ICT. Besides the open source instruction side, the tree cell is another interesting part of RISC-V. So my question is about the tree cell. There are two main opinions about tree cell. The software engineer may prefer tree cell, but the IC designer who have several years on Verilog experience, they may see, they arguing about the efficiency of tree cell or verification tool support of tree cell, even for other high-level synthesis. So, what's your opinion on tree cell? Do you think the high-level synthesis language will be a trend compared with the Verilog HDL?
So I think there's about 4 distinct things in that question to respond to. So first of all, although it is true that Chisel and RISC-V originated from the same research group at UC Berkeley, they're not actually formally connected in any way. It so happens that we, when we were UC Berkeley students and now at Sci-Fi, like implementing our processor designs in Chisel, but we fully encourage other RISC-V implementers to either use Chisel or not use Chisel, use VHDL, Verilog, IHDL if that still exists, whatever. And so, you make up your own minds about what you should use. Second, Chisel is not a high-level synthesis language. it is an HDL that happens to be embedded in a high-level language. And when you're writing chisel code, at the lowest level, you're ultimately writing registers, adders, muxes, and so forth. But because it's embedded as a solid DSL, it allows you to create sophisticated abstractions that make it much more productive to write, to do hardware design. So you can do high-level stuff, but it's not high-level synthesis. So I think the last thing there was about verification. I think Chisel has greatly accelerated the design part of hardware design. I don't think it's exacerbated the verification story, but it hasn't done as much as it could to help that. And we're looking forward over the next 2 years from Sci-Fi and UC Berkeley to improve that situation.
Yes. Programming languages have made amazing progresses in the last 20 years. It seemed for me in my career, the programming languages are all some very alcohol, 60 to 20 years, but they had great ideas that dramatically improved productivity of programmers via reuse. So multiple inheritance didn't really work that well for reuse, but some of these other ideas really work. So you can take programmers less time to get their work done. Chisel is inspired by that from Scala. So programmers, hardware designers can become tremendously more productive because they can reuse designs in great ways. I've heard multiple people say, multiple hardware engineers who are very lucky say, I tried using Chisel, and now that I've used Chisel, I'm never going back. They're just things that would take weeks to do to make a change. They can change incredibly quickly by using more modern concepts. So I think the hardware community needs to get, well, if you want to be more productive, if productivity is attractive in getting, not trying everything from scratch, you need to move away from Verilog. It's an ancient technology. It's embarrassing that we're still using it. The verification stuff, they need to get work on that, and I think I think that's a fair criticism of Chisel, and I think all the people who know about it are trying to work on that piece. But it's not inefficient to use Chisel. The quality of what you produce is not inefficient. It's not like programming in Python, right? You're describing hardware in a way that takes you less time to describe hardware. The hardware is equally as efficient as you did it the slow way or the fast way.
I was going to say, one thing to reinforce, RISC-V and Chisel are not joined at the hip. There's many RISC-V. You saw all the product presentations from these companies that are in Verilog. There's nothing about RISC-V which is tied to Chisel. It just so happens the Berkeley open source core was written in Chisel initially, and that's what Sci-Fi was using too. So they're not connected. Having said that, Chisel, I think what I see a lot in the industry is there's a whole CAD industry built around fixing what's wrong with Verilog by adding all these other tools. And there's things that sorry, Paul, but there's a lot of tools that people would want to sell you for lots of money that turn into little libraries in Chisel. And so you don't need these tools. You need these tools because Verilog is so bad. It's like coding in assembly code. It's like the guy saying, I'm going to use C, I'm going to write everything in assembly code. And when the Y2K bug happened, there was a surge of interest in finding IBM 360 assembly programs to fix all that code base. But that's gone 10 years, 20 years time. Verilog, probably still be around. It'll still be called Verilog, but actually Chisel, the Chisel log or something. People will move on. It's just tremendously more productive. I see that my group, people can just do way more quickly once they get on board. And I think it's also the tooling. I think Verilog gets in the way of other tooling. This whole industry to support you, having written design in Verilog, you have to have other tools that work with Verilog. In Chisel, you have the intermediate language Fertile, where it's like LLVM for hardware. And in there, we can do things that would otherwise require expensive tooling. And we can do it more efficiently because you have this other representation, we can write software to do it. So I think there's a lot of benefits to Chisel, but again, go back to the first point. RISC-V and Chisel are not connected. You want to do everything in Verilog, that's fine. And in terms of quality, if you look at the Rocket Core numbers for the Sci-Fi FE310, you compare it to the other guys running in Verilog, there's obviously no problem with quality of results, right? So
I'd just like to add one more thing on the verification and looking at the generated Verilog code, we got a lot, get a lot of criticism on that. Generated Verilog, I can't read it. I think the analogy to draw is Verilog is the assembly language and Chisel is a higher level language, like for example C. So you could be, grumpy about leave me alone with my assembly code language. I'm going to allocate my registers myself, like leave me alone. Or you could switch to a higher level language and be much more productive. And the analogy that I want to talk about is when you are kind of debugging your code, often you look at your assembly code, and some people do that too, but you have other tooling built around it. So for example, GDB, you open it up, and you can map your assembly language back to your high-level code, and it tells you which code that is. Chisel and Generator Verilog could have some similar tool that maps it back to your higher-level language. It's just that Chisel is early in its life that nobody has been bit enough to go build that tool. But I'm saying that's not a good reason to not use a higher-level language. You can build all the other tools to make it productive in verification and debugging your code.
All right, so it was a good Chisel session. All right, thanks guys. That was informative and